Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Space Between. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Brett Kemp, and I'm so grateful that you decided to join me today. Today, I'm going to be talking about 3 books that I can't say changed my life, but they definitely illuminated my life, influenced my life, and brought tremendous value to my life. These 3 books that I'm going to talk about, I believe, came into my life definitely for a reason. Synchronicity, if you will. Timing. When we meet somebody, whether that's a really great friend, a person we met that became a really great friend, or a romantic relationship, everything is about timing, whether it's a relationship or whether it's a book coming into your life. And these 3 books came into my life at different times, and I think they all came exactly when they were supposed to, but I also think they came because I was searching, I was seeking something out, I was curious. And the first book that came into my life that we're going to talk about is called Breaking the Habits of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza. Breaking the Habits of Being Yourself is a book that came into my life probably around 7 years ago. And I am so unbelievably grateful to Dr. Joe Dispenza for writing it. Because before that, I knew almost nothing about quantum physics. In fact, I would never ever in my life pick up a book about science. School was not a place where I thrived. So a book about science definitely was not something that interests me. But luckily for him and his team, they created this incredible hook point that was their title, Breaking the Habits of Being Yourself. How do you break the habits of being yourself? You can think of breaking habits as being something that's outside of you, to quit smoking, quit drinking, quit biting your nails, chewing on your knuckles, whatever it may be. But breaking the habits of being yourself, that doesn't seem to really make any sense. But it's actually a brilliant title and hook point, because when I read that, even as someone who didn't think I had the intellectual capacity to understand quantum physics, when I saw that, I thought to myself, breaking the habits of being myself. Yes, please. I would love to break the habits of being myself. And according to Dr. Joe Dispenza, it's actually easier than you would think, breaking the habits of being yourself. But like anything in this life, it requires a few things that I believe always have to be a part of the equation. Specificity, discipline, courage, brutal self-honesty, and consistency. What his book teaches you is this idea that is coming completely from science. So, although I didn't know much about the world of quantum physics, like I said, I'm all for science. So this was not some earthy yoga kind of, just let it all go and break the habits of being yourself and everything will be beautiful and the trees will look so green. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with a beautiful state of being like that, but our minds don't really work that way. They actually function like the universe, and that's what he talks about. The universe is made up of matter and energy, and we are, believe it or not, 99.99999% energy and 0.000000000% matter. So we are almost actually nothing, but we are energy, and energy is everywhere, and energy is everything you see and all the space between, basically. So he breaks it down from the beginning of the discoveries of Newton and Einstein, and then takes that knowledge that he gives you about kind of the basics of how it works, and builds on that and teaches you that your thoughts are also measurable energy, and that measurable energy has been firing and wiring together depending on what you've been feeding it. And A staggering statistic is that 98% of the thoughts you have today, you had yesterday. So what he also talks about is basically we're all living from the past. We think we're in the present, we think we're right here, right now, looking outside the window, looking at a tree, but really everything we're experiencing is from our memory. And depending on what your past was like, you started firing neurons, firing these wires, this electricity in your mind, and it started creating these connections. And all these connections started being made, and then after a while, it was like almost impossible, or seemingly impossible, to break those. We have to start disconnecting those wires so we can start, one, living in the present, and two, imagining that future. But we can't go to the future with the thoughts of the past. That's something he always says in his meditations. You can't go to the future with the thoughts of the past. And actually, there's another component to this as well, which is your feelings. Your feelings also are a huge part of this, because you can keep thinking about something you want to happen or imagining it to happen. But if you don't believe it, it really can't happen, because that's not the way the universe works. You have to have a clear intention, and he says with an elevated heart. So he talks about how you have to pretend, use your imagination that that future that you want, that person you want to become, is now. You have to pretend that it's happening right now. You have to see yourself healthier. You have to see yourself more successful now. And if you can imagine that thing happening, or imagine becoming that person you want to be, transforming into that person now, the universe absolutely, scientifically will respond to that. So I'm just really scratching at the surface of what this book will bring into your life. He will educate you, he will teach you, he will give you so many steps, he'll give you so many examples, so many incredible examples of actually the true power of our mind to change physical reality. That's some of the stuff I read in there. Some of these scientific studies I did just blew my mind. I mean, it really made me feel like this universe is an incredibly magical place, and we are a part of that. So breaking the habits of being yourself is going to just kind of explode everything you thought you knew, kind of really the true power of our mind to change our life, to bring the things into our life that we are so desiring. And he has this great quote. He says, "The universe doesn't respond to what you want, it responds to who you are being." Everything is a state of being. He says also, your personality comes from your personal reality. And I love that, because you meet people and one person can go to a party and say, "Oh my God, it was the greatest party ever. It was so awesome." The other person's like, "That was a terrible party." But they went to the same party. So everything is how they frame the situation, how they frame the experience, which then also goes into their personality. Is some are kind of always, looking for the negatives, right? Some are looking for the positives. Not one is better than the other, but that's just another example of how your personality really creates your personal reality. So definitely check out his book. We are now going to move on to our second book. And the second book is The Art of Possibility, which, if you read the title, it's kind of self-explanatory, but notice that it doesn't say the formula of possibility. It says the art of possibility. Because what you learn in this book is that possibility really requires imagination and being able to see things from so many different angles. That's where possibility kind of is born. To be able to see a situation or experience and still find that there is a possibility, and that possibility usually could also lead to an opportunity, an opportunity hiding in disguise. So that's what this book's all about. And reading this book, I really started to understand that word. I mean, possibility, it kind of has this beautiful sound to it, but do any of us really understand the meaning or really the weight that is underneath that word? And after reading this book, you definitely will. Wayne Dyer said, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And that's exactly what this is. Everything you see in front of you, if you continue to look at it just as it is, it will remain that way. But if you look at it like Michelangelo does, then you will not see a block of marble, you will see the David inside the marble. And there is a great example right at the beginning of this book as to what you can expect. Like right out of the gate, they introduce this story. And when I read it, I was thinking to myself, oh, yeah, I'm hooked already. So the story is, there were two scouts from a shoe factory. They both went to a region of Africa, and the shoe factory got a message from one of the scouts. I guess we'd call them reps now, right? And he said, horrible news, nobody wears shoes. Then the other scout/rep said, oh my God, glorious opportunity. They don't have any shoes. So what's so wonderful about that is it teaches you right from the beginning what Roseman and Benjamin are talking about, the art of possibility. The situation is the same, but two people saw that same situation and they saw it differently. And the second person saw it as not only, they don't have any shoes, maybe they would like some shoes, as a possibility, right? But that also led to an incredible opportunity that the other person would have missed just by the way they were looking at it. That's amazing. Nothing changed in front of them. Nothing, came out of the sky that, gave them different experiences. It was the same experience. And one saw the possibility waiting there, hiding in disguise. David and marble, whatever had to be chipped away, and he saw it, and the other person didn't. And that's just a kind of a little bit of an introduction to what to expect from this book. It gets much more specific. It also teaches you many steps. It's going to help you become a much better leader, a communicator, a teacher, and people who also want to be a contribution. One of the chapters is called Being a Contribution. But what's so interesting about that, especially in social media days where everyone's like, how can you provide value? And if you provide value, people will watch your videos. Well, it's annoying but sad sadly that's definitely true. But this goes much further. Really being a contribution. How can you really be a contribution to other people's lives? And being a contribution in other people's lives leads to incredible opportunities for those people and yourself. And to give you just a couple examples of some of the chapter headings, stepping into the universe of possibility, giving an A. I love that one. That's the part of the book where Benjamin's a teacher, one of the authors, him and his wife, and he decides that a great way to inspire his students and ignite their passion and ignite their desire to do well, to do great, to become great in the class is to give them an A right at the beginning. For them to imagine that future at the end of the semester, he has them write down where they want to be, but says you have that now. So he gives them an A from the beginning. There's more to it, and I'm not going to go into it more than that, but it's a really beautiful idea, especially for a teacher, especially from anybody who holds such an unbelievable responsibility in this world. All teachers hold such responsibility, and I know teachers work so hard and they're trying to get through so much. And in the chapter about giving an A, there was this passage that I completely forgot about, which is so awesome. It's that synchronicity I talked about earlier. It's that energy, it's that force that, is working things out in a way that, we kind of don't control. I think it's both. Personally, we have free will, and there's some things that are definitely left in our hands, and then there's some stuff that's out of our hands. And so in this part of the book, it says Michelangelo is often quoted as having said that inside every block of stone or marble dwells a beautiful statue. One need only remove the excess material to reveal the work of art within. If we were to apply this visionary concept to education, it would be pointless to compare one child to another. Instead, all the energy would be focused on chipping away at the stone, getting rid of whatever's in the way of each child's developing skills, mastery, and self-expression. We call this practice giving an A. It is an enlivening way of approaching people that promises to transform you as well as them. It is a shift in attitude that makes it possible for you to speak freely about your own thoughts and feelings while, at the same time, you support others to be all they dream of being. The practice of giving an A transports your relationship from the world of measurement into the universe of possibility. I mean, how great is that? So simply, if you are looking to become a better communicator, a better teacher, a better leader, this book, I promise you, will bring so much value into your life. It definitely brought a lot of value into my life, and it's a book I go back to all the time, even if I have a job interview or something. There's so many pearls of wisdom in here as well for something like that. So definitely check this out, and let's move on to our third book, which is The Code of the Extraordinary Mind. The Code of the Extraordinary Mind is a book I read pretty much a year ago, and this book, like no other book in my life, changed the game for me. I have never read a book that allowed me to get so unbelievably specific about what I want, what experiences I want to have in life, whether those be romantic experiences or adventure, spiritual, financial, quality of life. This book definitely will give you so much to think about if you're trying to answer those questions, which who out there isn't trying to answer these questions? And what this book boils down to is this idea of what he calls the culturescape. And the culturescapes are the realities and models of reality that we live in that are based on older generations, rules that we're still living by from generations, so many generations back. And he calls these rules, which means BS rules, because we no longer live in that world anymore. We don't live in the world where you definitely should go to college or get a 9-to-5 and have a family and get a good job and, that American dream from the 50s or 60s. He talks about how these culturescapes, these models of reality are preventing us from actually finding out who we really are and what we truly want, what we truly desire, finding our own authentic path. And he gets so specific with this by 3 very important questions, which are, give me 2 seconds here. What experiences do you want to have in this lifetime? How do you want to grow? And how do you want to contribute? And those 3 questions then break down even more. For example, how do you want to grow? He'll say, how do you want to grow your love relationships, your friendships, your finances, your quality of life? So each of those have subsets. And he actually, Mishan Lakhani, who is he's co-owner of Mind Valley, which is an educational technology company, talks about how whenever he or anybody else is interviewing people, he makes sure that they have those questions answered before they come in. Because really, what other questions do you need to ask somebody to kind of, one, get to know who they really are and what they love and what fires them up, what they're deeply passionate about, and also who to hire, because people who aren't specific enough kind of end up like a feather, kind of just drifting through life. So the Code of the Extraordinary Mind is going to teach you how to get really specific about what you want. He's going to show you so many steps. He's going to give you tons of homework to do, but homework absolutely worth doing. It definitely takes some time. And He's going to give you so many wonderful examples and stories, and he's going to tell you about his personal life. So, you really feel a connection with him. We all want to know where people came from, right? We all want to know that. So he does a really good job of that too. You really start to get invested in his story, his past. And by the end of the book, you just have such an unbelievable clarity of what it is that you want and how to get it. But not in a way that it's dogma or doctrine in any way. It's just giving you the option. And the option is to break the idea of this culturescape of thinking you're supposed to live and do and be and act a certain way because that's what they did generations and generations and generations before. Just because something has been done a certain way all this time is not a good reason to continue to do something. I mean, that's really kind of madness if you think about it. So I would definitely suggest picking up this book if you want to really get specific about what it is you want in your life and to find a map and a vision for how you want that life to look. That's what he's doing that's so wonderful here by asking you those questions. It forces you to sit down and figure that stuff out. You can't be general. Being general won't produce anything. Specificity is everything. And that's definitely something that he really dives deep into, the idea of specificity to create the life that you want. So if that's what you're looking for, I would definitely suggest this book. And I feel like I went into the first book a little bit longer than the other one, but that's because Breaking Habits of Being Yourself is just really, it's much more technical because like I said, there's the science element and everything, but Breaking the Habits of Being Yourself, The Art of Possibility, The Code for the Exceptional Mind. I purposely picked these three books, not because they're my favorite three books of all time, but these three books, when you combine them, I feel like you're kind of attacking, maybe attacking is not the right word, I don't like that word, but you're creating a great recipe for success for your life and most importantly for your own happiness, for your own passion. So there you have it, 3 fantastic books that I deeply believe in and I think you should check them out. And most importantly, I hope I've been a contribution in your life today. I've been working on this for about a year. I started my YouTube channel about a year ago. Then I had a couple months where I wasn't able to do it because of a family emergency. But back in May, I started again and I've been working 7 days a week trying to come up with, I don't want to say a formula, but come up with a way to be a contribution in people's lives, to do something that really creates an emotional response in you. Not that I'm trying to force you to feel anything, but that allows you to feel connected to me when I'm doing this. That's what I want. I want to feel that connection. I want to create more dreamers in the world. I definitely want that. And I really want to be a contribution. So thank you so much for your time today. And if you haven't had a chance to, please check out my other videos. I've done all sorts of different things because this is an experiment. And so you're gonna see different things, some that are definitely more for kids and some that are for adults. And I'm gonna leave you with one more thing before we go. I say this after the end of all my videos because it's extremely important to me, because when I started this channel, I saw the TED Talk about starting with why. I haven't read the book yet, but my why is as follows. Here inside the space between, we believe that empathy, equality, and including everyone is the only way for us as humanity to move forward in our evolution and come together and help one another and realize that we're actually all sisters and brothers. And the space between you and me is actually an invisible field of energy connecting everyone and everything you see. Thank you so much, you guys, for your time today. I so appreciate it. Peace and love to everyone. Bye.